I'm Mr. Ohio born player made. I'm sharp as razor blades. I'm the truth in the booth. You come to troll, catch this fade. Come on in. Where you been? I call you family. Now we can feel the vibe on this ride. Hit subscribe, tell a friend. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You feel the vibe on this ride. Hit subscribe, tell a friend. What's up with it, family? What's the damn deal, man? This is JuniorTheTruth. And this is indeed the Punch Junkie podcast. Or should I say, it's the Punch Junkie podcast. Hosted by yours truly, JuniorTheTruth. Damn, this feel good. It's kind of giving me that old thing. I got that old thing back. You feel the vibe on this. I'm Mr. Ohio born player made. I'm sharp as razor blades. I'm the truth in the booth. You come to troll, catch this fade. Come on in. Where you been? I call you family. Now we can feel the vibe on this ride. Hit subscribe, tell a friend. Joe Towns, you hear what I told him, bro? You hear what I told him, bro? You hear what I told him? Hey, you feel the vibe on this ride. Hit subscribe, tell a friend. Man. What's up with it, though, family? Salute to y'all, man. Thank y'all so much for taking the time to tune in. Really, truly, genuinely appreciate it, man. If I had a million tongues, I couldn't tell it all. Give yourself a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to the LDBC, the Lions Den boxing community, man. Salute to the Punch Junkie family, man. Salute to everybody catching the live stream. Salute to the family. Shout out to the whole podcast family, the Junior Mafia, the La Familia. Salute to everybody, man. Thank you all so much. Really, truly, genuinely appreciate it, man. If I had a million tongues, I couldn't tell it all. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, this is the Punch Junkie podcast, hosted by yours truly, JuniorTheTruth. Man, you can follow me everywhere via social media. I can be found with the handle JuniorTheTruth. It's JuniorTheTruth, and that's over all the social media platforms. But if you're really looking for me, you can catch me over on the Punch Junkie, www.punchjunkie.com, man. The last place in the world for real fans of the sweet science. Also, man, the heart and soul of this thing of ours, man, the sport of boxing. Yes, the heart and soul of boxing. Salute to everybody that's here already. Dirt Game Boss in the building. What's up with you? Salute to my family. Joe Townsend, what's good with you, family? But some of that goddamn West Coast. You feel me? Shout out to the Bay Area, man. Yes. Salute to Shine Down Productions in the building. What's good with you, family? Salute to y'all, man. Salute to everybody once again that's catching a replay of this stream, as well as everybody that's catching a podcast, the Junior Mafia podcast family, be La Familia. It's Trouble Man Tuesday, man. It's Trouble Man Tuesday. 4-ounce sniper. What's good with you, family? Yeah, man. I'm right back like I left my keys, bro. Right back like I left my keys. Salute to you. Thank you for coming back and getting another scoop. Trouble Man Tuesday. So for those of y'all who don't know, Trouble Man Tuesdays for me, when I invented Trouble Man Tuesdays, it is a day in which I talk about topics that are very difficult for people to talk about with regard to the sport of boxing, man. Trouble Man Tuesday, to put it lightly, it's a day where I get in here and I stir up some shit. And that's just being honest, man. But I have real conversations and I am in seek of real thoughts and real answers as it relates to the sport of boxing. And a lot of the conversations get tough, man. A lot of the conversations get tough. A lot of people are divided on the topics at hand. Yeah, man. Mr. Lister, what's up with you? A lot of people are they don't necessarily like the topics and they don't like having discussions. We like to leave things unsaid or for whatever reasons, but nah, man, today is a day and we back in the saddle with another Trouble Man Tuesday, man. So I come up hard, baby, but that's all right. We're going to dig deep on this one, man. And we're going to ponder and talk about, and I'm going to ask and pose the tough question, which is, did the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Haymon's movement, did it break Black American boxing? Did the PBC break Black American boxing? Yeah, that's a long pause. Did the PBC break Black American boxing? Let's get it.
Oh, no, you didn't. Wait a minute. No, you didn't. Hey, Jay! Come back here! Jay! Fool ass bitch, man. Jay! Give me my money! Oh, you motherfucker. Okay. All right. I'm putting cases on all you bitches. Huh? You think you can do this shit? Jay! You think you can do this to me? You motherfuckers be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you.
Man. So all right, man. This ain't before y'all start coming in here, because the premier boxing champion loyalists are still out and still about and still moving around. No disrespect to nobody. So before y'all come in here talking about, oh, you just hating, man, you just hating on PBC and so on and so forth. This ain't that. This ain't hate. This ain't no gossip. This is cultural analysis from your favorite cultural provocateur. Because the PBC was pitched to us and presented to us as ours. And when I say us, I'm talking about the Black American boxing fans, man, just so that we clear. You feel me? It was presented to, and y'all can stop me when I start lying. So when I start lying, y'all go ahead on and stop me. You feel me? Y'all go ahead on and stop me and redirect me or whatnot. But the PBC was built on the backs of the Black American fans and Black American boxers. So y'all, whenever I start lying, y'all tell me. And it was presented as ours. And the PBC was supposed to be the house for Black fighters to get shine, to get their paper right, to break free from the industry old shady games within the sport of boxing. You feel me? So how did we get here? Now, I'm going to preface this and I'm going to tell y'all something. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I haven't been speaking on this a lot. I haven't talked a whole lot about it because I've been chilling. You understand what I'm saying? And I've really been riding this high of Terrence Bud Crawford defeating Canelo Alvarez. So I really been riding that wave. You understand? I really been riding that wave. But I did a thing yesterday. And man, salute to everybody in the chat, man. I did a thing yesterday. Let me show y'all some love, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to old school Winston. Hold on, let me go back. I got Mr. Lister in the building. What's up with you, homie? Salute to Royal Constrictor in the building. What's happening? Old school Winston Lee in the building. What's up with you, bro? Salute to everybody that's been catching me twice a day, man. I appreciate you all. Salute to Tim TV 212 in the building. Right back like he left his keys. What's up, family? Salute to you. Salute to my little brother, Mahari Nation Sports Podcast in the building. He says, good afternoon, Junior. Get ready to lose your cool again. Just kidding. Nah, bro, I ain't losing my cool today. Y'all ain't gonna get me today. Sean, unless Lala D come in here talking about track or shellfish or something, then I'm gonna flip the fuck out. Sean Don Productions. Salute, family. Sean Don says, I know you analyzed this way before bringing this to our attention. So I know you know what you talking about. Talk your shit. Or talk your ish. Salute, brother. I appreciate it. Man, you sound like my family, man. My people say that. My people say, if I start talking about something, they already know the way I am. I done already analyzed it. I done put it up, broke it down. I done rolled it up, smoked it. You understand what I'm saying? Like I didn't really went down through there. And the honest truth is I have, bro. And I've been thinking about this. If we gonna be for real, I've been thinking about this for about 2 years. I've been thinking about this for 2 years, but I've been so in and out of the boxing conversation, and I've been chilling, and then I really been being solid for real. You know what I'm saying? I really been being solid for real. But I've seen a lot of stuff that I don't like, and I've been seeing it for years as it relates to the premier boxing champions. And that's just the truth. Seen a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff I don't like. A lot of stuff that's questionable. There's a lot of things that go unsaid. There's a lot of things that go unstated. There's a lot of out of love and affinity for Al Haymon. I know that there's a lot of stuff that the fighters don't talk about. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm not here to dive all into that. But as a fan of the sport of boxing, I'm gonna stay in my wheelhouse and talk about the things that I see and what I take from today's or my thoughts on today's question, which is, did the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Haymon's movement, did it break Black American boxing? And I think that's the conversation that we gotta have. So yesterday I did a thing, and it's the whole, kind of the whole motivation to go ahead on and do this today on this Trouble Man Tuesday. And that is, I watched the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Jake Paul press conference. And I was sitting there, and just so that we clear, and this is the only time I'm going to offer this preface. I am a huge fan of Gervonta Tank Davis. I am and have been a fan of him since his introduction into the sport of boxing. As long as I've seen him fight as an amateur, I've always liked Tank. Making the transition into the professional ranks, since he was running around, being Adrian Broner's little youngin, if you will, his little youngin, his little sidekick, all the way through him signing with Mayweather, with the Money Team and Mayweather Promotions. Through his career, I've remained a Gervonta Tank Davis fan. So I've also done a lot of work with regard to my brand and my brands, not just the JuniorTheTruth brand, but the Punch Junkie brand, so on and so forth. Done things to promote and express that, I really believe in the talent of Tank Davis, and I believe that Tank Davis is a tremendous talent for this generation of boxers. I believe that he fits right in with this generation, and he's amongst the elite, or can be, should be. So with that being said, I looked at the press conference yesterday for Tank Davis versus Jake Paul, and I became ridiculously uncomfortable. I was ridiculously uncomfortable as a fan of the sweet science, as a fan of Gervonta Davis, as a fan of Jake Paul, for all intents and purposes, and for what Jake Paul is to the sport of boxing as it relates to his own career. You know what I'm saying? Because the way my mind works is I'm able to separate Jake Paul's career as far as his boxing career and what he does with his fights. I'm able to separate that from the positive impact and influences that he has on the other areas of the sport of boxing. Cue up women's boxing. You understand what I'm saying? Cue up the careers of Amanda Serrano, Alicia Baumgartner. What's my girl? What's my girl's name? The big girl, not Danielle Perkins, even though I think Danielle Perkins might be signed over there too. But my Shadeja Green, you feel me? Like, I'm looking at these positive impacts that he has on the sport with female boxing as well, but I'm able to decipher the two, right? So I feel like, for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, the fight with Mike Tyson was a bit much for me. It was a bit much for me. But if he wants to get in there and fight Tyron Woodley, or you know what I'm saying, Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, any of that stuff, you know what I mean? Cool, because I think that there is an avenue for that. I think that there's an avenue for that, right? I think that there's an avenue for that stuff. But when I'm looking at one of our generational talents, which is Tank Davis, and him moving over to, as you all know, when Jake Paul started, I coined it buzzer fuck boxing. I literally coined it the buzzer fuck boxing circuit. And so I'm looking at fighters who are chomping at the bit, and some of our great fighters, you know what I mean, or our generational talents, or some of our retired legends like Andre Ward. I've heard Andre Ward talking about coming out of retirement to go teach Jake Paul a lesson or whatever the case may be. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, okay. So now it's starting to get out of hand because boxers and boxing has been so, they've been so abused. Like, just like the boxing fans have been abused, like we have a, y'all do understand we have a toxic relationship with the sport of boxing. Those of us that are really truly fans, y'all do understand we have a very extremely toxic relationship with the sport of boxing. And so when I'm looking at these boxers like Andre SOG Ward, who will come out of retirement to go and fight Jake Paul, I realize he also has a toxic relationship with the sport of boxing. You feel me? Like he definitely has a extremely toxic relationship with the sport of boxing. And so I'm looking at this now because now what we have is we have a merger of this potentially once in a generation fighter, which is Gervonta Tank Davis, and he is being mixed up with the buzzer fuck boxing circuit now, which is Jake Paul. And they're about to fight. And not only are they about to fight, but not only is it buzzer fuck boxing, but it's really, really a spectacle. Jake Paul is a heavyweight. Gervonta Tank Davis is a 135-pound fighter. And they're about to really fight. And not only are they about to fight, but they are petitioning and pushing to try to make it a real fight. And so I'm sitting here, and as I'm looking at this, like I told you, I did a thing yesterday, and I'm looking at this press conference, and I'm looking at Gervonta Davis's, I'm looking at his countenance. I'm looking at the way he looks. I'm looking at Jake Paul and him doing what Jake Paul does. And I'm looking and I'm listening to Gervonta Davis talk. And I'm looking at his inability to put together a complete thought. And I'm noticing his tone, volume, and cadence. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm just like, this ain't no good. You feel me? And then I'm looking at the chat, like I'm looking at the chat and I can't tell if it's, but I'm seeing some people who I know are real people. So I'm like, normally I would think that it was bots, but now I'm noticing some people over there that are like real people and they're engaging in the chat or people are talking like this is really a fight. And this is really something that, you know, as boxing fans that we really should be, you know, really paying attention to. And I'm looking at content about it and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, man. Oh. Thrive and Glow with Joe. What's up, baby? So then I look at it and I said, how did we get here? Like, how did we get here? Because we were just having a conversation about, and then this happened. This happened. Let me back the bus up. A reporter asked questions and he asked the fighters, Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis, to make a case as to why they are the face of boxing. Gervonta Davis's answer was, he threw his hands up. He said, I'm not the face of boxing. I'm just somebody that boxes, brother. And I said, damn, how did we get here? How did we get here? Because we were just having conversations about the face of the sport of boxing either being Tank Davis or Canelo Alvarez. We're fresh out. We were just having that conversation, y'all. Like we were literally just having a conversation betwixt who or with regard to who was the face of the sport of boxing betwixt Tank Davis or Canelo Alvarez. And now we're here in a place just a little while down the road, we're at a place where Tank Davis is throwing his hands up and saying, I am not the face of boxing. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want it. I'm just a person who boxes. And Jake Paul staking his claim as the face of boxing purely because of the numbers. And truthfully, if we're gonna have the truth and we're gonna tell the truth, it's Trouble Man Tuesday, so we got to come with it. Truthfully, if Turkey Al-Sheikh hadn't actually, I believe, overextended and surpassed the MVP promotions and Jake Paul offered to fight Canelo, which he had agreed to in principle, from what I understand. And then he reneged on it and went with Turk Al-Sheikh and Riyadh season for the 3-fight deal. If that hadn't happened, Jake Paul would have fought Canelo Alvarez too. So the two people who we were arguing about being the face of the sport of boxing, either one of them or both of them would have potentially been in a fight with Jake Paul of the buzzard fuck boxing circuit. Respectfully to Jake Paul and his career. Now, what he's doing with MVP promotions outside of his career, colossal. And to be honest with you, truthfully speaking, he is doing what Money Mayweather should have done with TMT, what Adrian Apollo Broner should have been able to do more of with About Billions, which is to use his star power and to use his drawership and to use his ability to put on big events with his own name on the docket and putting his own name in lights and using that to bring notoriety and bring attention to his own stable of fighters. That is what the TMT model was supposed to be. And that was what the About Billions moniker and the brand was, but was unable to sustain. You feel me? I'll say, Mahari says Tank Davis was never the face of boxing. At least he was honest about that. No, he didn't say he was never the face of boxing. He said he wasn't the face of boxing now. And to be honest with you, the face of the sport of boxing is a subjective argument. It's just like pound for pound, it's subjective. But what we can't deny is the fact that Tank Davis has been one of the biggest draws in the sport of boxing over the course of the last 10 years. You feel me? So he has been one of the biggest draws in the sport of boxing. And there are a lot of us who will say and contend and stand on that we believe he actually was outselling Canelo Alvarez. But the face of the sport of boxing is a very subjective argument. So I'm looking at all that yesterday, and I had to ask the question, how did we get here? How did we get here? And I could only draw one direct line. I could only draw one direct line because what is the one key consistent thing that was ever present in Gervonta Tank Davis's career? Because he was with the money team, then he wasn't on the money team. He was with Floyd, and he wasn't with Floyd. The one thing that was, he was, when he didn't sign with About Billions, but he was still running around with AB, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. And the one thing that we can say is consistent in his career is the Premier Boxing Champions. And he was essentially had got himself to be the golden child of the PBC. With the PBC. That's the constant. So I had to look at it. And then it caused me, because I told you I've been having this conversation. And so it caused me to look at it, but then I had to look at the other fighters that are a part of the Premier Boxing Champions. And what did I see? I saw inactive fighters. I saw fighters in their primes and their primes being wasted. And all I see is people talking about how the PBC movement and the PBC business has collapsed. Period. So if we go back, man, and we look back and we thumb back through the history, Al Haymon had a vision, and the vision was presented to us. And the vision was what was sold to us as boxing fans. Once again, mind you, our favorite fighters were over on PBC, you know, and they had arrived there from Golden Boy Promotions, just so that we clear. So if y'all remember there was a PBC commercial. I can't remember who was fighting. I don't remember if it was somebody was in the boxing ring and they were fighting. And then they showed ringside and all the people were standing up and they were in their tuxedos and shit. You feel me? And it was like Deontay Wilder standing up. He was throwing combinations in the air. I think Danny Garcia was there. And then was it Errol Spence or somebody? It was Danny Garcia, might have been Sean Porter, but like all of these fighters were in that commercial. And we remember all of these fighters who were over there. You know what I mean? And I'll give y'all a little glimpse of the list of the PBC fighters if that's what you need. We'll get to it when we get down through here. But there was a promise of not just, you know, a place for the black fighters and for them to rock out and us to see all of this talent, but it was free boxing on network TV. You understand what I'm saying? The spotlight, yeah, it was the PBC on NBC commercial, I believe it was. Yeah. And it was a spotlight, you know, on Black American fighters. You know what I mean? And it was the promise of fighters being able to have their control over their own careers. And the early excitement, man, we had, you know, Deontay Wilder, Keith Thurman, Errol Spence Jr., the Charlos, Keith Thurman. Did I say Danny Garcia? Keith Thurman, get Danny Garcia. We had Andre Berto. Like, we had so much. But let's be clear, just so that we clear. And I don't ever want y'all to leave this out, and I don't ever want y'all to get this misunderstood. Understood. Adrian the Problem Broner had the PBC on his back. Adrian Broner had the PBC on his back. Adrian Broner had the PBC on his back. And if y'all remember, at that period of time, Adrian Broner was Adrian Broner. Adrian the Problem Broner was Adrian the Problem Broner, and he was absolute 100% must-see TV. He was must-see television. So the positive, you know what I mean? Because I ain't just trying to poo-poo. You know what I mean? I ain't just trying to poo-poo. The positive was that there was more exposure on TV. You had NBC, CBS, Fox, Showtime. You had You had the PBC was on Bounce TV. I think they had work on ESPN. There was ABC. I think they had something on ABC before. It was just a lot of exposure on TV. Also, the fighters got bigger purses. If y'all remember that, the fighters were getting bigger purses. And those purses were big purses that they were not getting under Top Rank and Golden Boy. And remember, fighters were introduced to different parts of the game, according to them, because every boxer, remember, they pretty much had their own promotional entity, and they became their own promoters. That's why you had the birth of course, the Money Team, TMT. You had Adrian Broner with About Billions. You had DSG Promotions, which is Danny Swift Garcia. You had Errol the Truth Spence with Man Down Promotions, and all of the fighters who opted to promote themselves, even though they could work with TGB Promotions, they could work with TMT, they could work with some of these other promoters and promote, but they were able to promote themselves and do their own promotional deal and get more of the bag for themselves if they had a team in place or they wanted to do the work. So this was new and this was different, and it was like, wow, okay. You feel me? Like this was different, and it was refreshing, and the fighters were excited. Everybody was, thank you, Al Haymon, love you, Al Haymon. Al, talk to Al Haymon, Al Haymon, Al Haymon, Al Haymon. Motherfuckers used to thank Al Haymon before they thank God. And they got bigger purses. Everybody was getting paid. It was like Trump's first term when he put out the stimulus checks. Everybody had money, was money in the street. And it also gave us a slight sense of independence. Fighters not being tied to promoters that had historically exploited Black American fighters. It's like a new day. The PBC was a new day. This was some new shit. So much, in fact, that the PBC was sued by the other entities came together to sue him, spearheaded by what's my dude name? Bob Arum and Top Rank. They all came together. They despised Al Haymon. There was some racist shit that went on with Golden Boy Promotions, and they were calling Al Haymon the Black Hitler and all kind of racial slurs and whatnot. Yeah. But it was a sense of independence for those fighters. And the PBC had Black American fight fans. We was finally saying, like, yeah, it's a table where we actually control the menu. You feel me? Like, these fighters really control the menu. Yeah. It was crazy. Mahari Nation says, Top Rank and Golden Boy sued Al Haymon. Where's the smoke for Turkey Al Sheikh? There is none, because Turkey Al Sheikh has absorbed them and absorbed their operations. They need Turkey Al Sheikh. Everybody needs Turkey Al Sheikh. And there are only two entities in the sport of boxing, and it should be obvious. There are only two sports within the two entities within the sport of boxing, and it should be obvious. You have Turkey Al Sheikh, and there's going to come to a full-fledged brawl for it all. It's going to be a brawl for it all. And so we get to see. But the two entities are Turkey Al Sheikh with Riyadh Season and the Ring Magazine, and you have Jake Paul with MVP Promotions. It's going to come down to those two. And Top Rank and PBC and all of the other smaller outfits like Salida Promotions and what's my dude name? Damn, I can't call his name. Lou DeBella Promotions, all of them, they're going to be working with one of the two. That's it. And the way it's going to end up playing out, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll have that conversation later on. I'll tell you how I think it's going to end up playing out. You feel me? But anyway, so we were there, and we had a table where we controlled the menu, and then the crack started to happen. You started having fighters who were working their way up to being world champions and unified champions. And the crack started to happen. One of the earliest cracks that I saw, this is like a dead horse, and I hate beating it, man. I hate beating it. But Charles Martin had won the heavyweight. I think it was the WBA title. He won the WBA heavyweight title. And at the time, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder had beat Bermain Stavern in their first fight. And, excuse me, Wilder had became the WBC heavyweight title champion. He had the IBF. Charles Martin had the IBF. I think it was the IBF now I think about it. I think it was. I think he did fight AJ, and he had the IBF. I think you're absolutely 100% right. Prince Charles Martin, he had, let me see. Anthony Joshua. Yep, he had the IBF. I appreciate it, bro. He had the IBF, and then he went to go fight. Hey, look at Mahari next time. No, it's the IBF. You said that after you seen Dirt Game Ball say it, bro. I didn't told you about your little self, man. Sit down and chill, man. Hey, but listen. So Charles Martin had the IBF, of course, and Al Haymon and the PBC allowed Charles Martin, encouraged him or whatever, to go over to the UK and fight Anthony Joshua for a unification fight instead of fighting Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder and keeping control of that title. And he went over there. It wasn't even unification. It wasn't unification because Anthony Joshua didn't have a title at that time. It was purely for Charles Martin's title. And Anthony Joshua knocked out Charles Martin in the second round and became the IBF champion, and the rest is history. When the PBC could have kept him over here on the stateside and had him fight Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder in the unification match and totally rebirthed and breathed the breath of life back into the heavyweight boxing division. Here are two American heavyweight champions, and they about to get it on to prove who's the best. You could have ran that fight and you could have got two of them out of it. You could have ran the first one, these two big size, colossal gladiators, first American heavyweight champs we've had in forever. You should have had them fight in a unification bout, put some of them other PBC dudes on the undercard, like a Errol Spence, you feel me? Could have had some of the Charlos, some of the younger dudes on the undercard, had that big ass card, and then you could have ran it twice. So whoever would have won the first one, world champ, could have had the rematch clause and could have ran that bitch twice. And by the time you run that thing twice, now we own. But the PBC allowed that fight to leave his grasp and allowed Charles Martin to go sell his title to the Ops. That was an extremely critical mistake. An extremely critical mistake. The model and the blueprint is already there when you look at all of these other boxing entities. What do you see? You see entities that refuse to relinquish the titles. If you're fighting for a world title, it is either a super fight or you're fighting somebody in our stable, because we're going to keep control of that title. So I started to see the cracks early. That was one. Then after that, what did I start to see? I started to see a few things. One of the things that I started to see was I started to see poor matchmaking. You understand what I'm saying? I saw people who were stars and who were ready to rock and roll fighting tune-up after tune-up, light touch after light touch. I saw that. You understand what I'm saying? I saw like the lack of consistent elite competitive matchups. You understand? I also saw the PBC's inability to make big fights / unification bouts. Think about it. Think about how many times, or the few times, that we were one fight away from undisputed and we couldn't get the fight. And they controlled all the titles. Think about PBC having this fighter under the banner who's a unified champion in the division, and then this fighter under the banner who's a unified champion in the division, and you couldn't materialize a fight between the two. A thought that I think of off the top of my head is Jared Swift Hurd and Jermell Charlo. That fight couldn't materialize. Why couldn't you all materialize that fight? Why couldn't you materialize that fight? Keith Thurman had the titles, and who else? Was it Sean Porter? Somebody else had the titles, and we couldn't unify. We could not get an undisputed title at welterweight. And then we also other thing I started to see was these long periods of layoffs. Why are these fighters out of the ring 2 years? You understand what I'm saying? We used to see that with Floyd, but Floyd, that was at the tail end of his career. He was semi-retired. He was in and out of retirement, and he was dealing with hand issues. So that's not the blueprint for these younger dudes. We shouldn't be seeing these young dudes once every 15, 16 months. Nah, these jokers, we should be seeing these jokers 3 times a year. You feel me? So I started to see that. I started to see these long ass layoffs, and I saw injuries, and I saw stuff, and I'm like, man, this ain't gonna work. Yeah, this is not gonna work. So I started to see that, man. Started to see the Charlos have long gaps. You know what I mean? Then I saw unforeseen circumstances and things happening, in these people's personal lives, which I'm not gonna talk about because I think they're overstated. You understand what I'm saying? And or not overstated. It's just we've been talking about it forever, so I'm tired of talking about it. Then we start to see the productions stop on up into the point where Showtime Boxing is no longer in the game. Showtime Boxing announced that they were closing their doors in 2023. That was like, for me, I'm personally, as a boxing fan, that took my breath away. That took my breath away. Like, that literally took my breath away, that Showtime Boxing went away. Like, that don't happen. You understand what I'm saying? That's like, for somebody like me, right? That's like getting up one day and CBS is not a thing anymore. Do you understand that Showtime Boxing was on, Showtime Championship Boxing was on TV for 37 years? Do y'all understand that? It was on for 37 years. It's a lot of y'all in here. Y'all not 37 years old. You feel me? Y'all not 37 years old. Lala D, what's up, baby? You got to catch up. We talking specifically about PBC. The PBC didn't really have anything to do with the HBO. That was Canelo work and Golden Boy promotion work. We talking specifically about PBC and them. Catch on up, baby. Catch on up. I'm in here talking boxing. You tardy too. I'm talking boxing because of you. You was late. Stay ready, Mac in the building. What's up with you, family? Salute. Showtime Boxing, like that was like a knockout. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody punched me in the chest. I'm just teasing you. Joe Townsend said, I turned 38 this year, family. It was on TV for 37 years. And they closed the doors of Showtime Boxing. And I'm like, fuck. Damn. They closed the doors of Showtime Boxing. Like, we saw the other networks fall off little by little. We used to see PBC on Fox, nah. PBC on Bounce, nah. PBC on ABC, nah. PBC on ESPN, nah. Then it was like, okay, the one thing we got PBC on Showtime. Like, we got Showtime. Premier Boxing Champions on Showtime. Like, we got Showtime in the headlock. Then Showtime announced that they were leaving boxing, and it's like, damn. You could have never told me, Mr. Lister. You could have never told me that Showtime was not going to show boxing. Nope. Larizzo Bond, what's good with you, homie? Yeah, I'm glad you're here, man. Ain't seen you in a while. Is you a cop, Jay Reed? Yeah. Sean Don said they started investing more into the you getting ahead. Yeah. I was about to say, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So I'm like, man. And so Showtime leaving boxing in 2023. Then they entered into this flaky that we don't really know what it is. This covert deal with Amazon, where it's supposed to be this one way, but it's presented as being one way, but it's really not. It's really a different way. You feel me? And it's the Amazon is like the one lifeline for the Premier Boxing Champions, as it states now. Like, the Amazon deal is like the lifeline, but there's so much uncertainty swirling around that deal, like you can't even tell what's going on. And once again, I can't tell you enough that as a fan, I was hurt, man. I was hurt by Showtime leaving boxing. And I've been hurt by the things that have taken place with the PBC. Like, I've been hurt, man. I was hurt that it took so long to get the Floyd versus Pacquiao fight. I was hurt that it took so long to get the Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence fight. We were supposed to get at least two of those. At least two of those. Think about everything that it took And what had to happen in order to get the undisputed matchup between Errol Spence and Bud Crawford, we were supposed to get 2 of those. Errol Spence was supposed to be Bud Crawford's arch nemesis and his rival, not Canelo Alvarez. And then by the time both of those fights happened, and when I say both of them, I'm talking about Bud Crawford versus Errol Spence and Mayweather versus Pacquiao. By the time those actually happened, people weren't enthused about them. It was like, yeah, we cool that they coming, and we cool that they here, but shit, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Like, they with or without it. They cool with or without it. Like, man, it was crazy. Crazy. Did it hurt? Has the question of the day and the question of this Trouble Man Tuesday episode. I appreciate y'all, man, for tuning in, because this other stuff y'all could be watching. I think they're doing like the Tank Davis versus Jake Paul press conference, man. You feel me? And it's 22 of y'all that saw fit to come over here and hang out in the last place in the world for real fans of the sweet science, instead of being over there immersing yourself in that bullshit. And I really truly appreciate you all. This is the heart and soul of boxing, man. This is the heart and soul of boxing. So the question of the day, Lala and everybody that came in late, is: did the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Haymon's movement, did it break Black American boxing? For me, let me just give y'all a list. Let me give y'all a list, and y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Errol Spence Jr., Adrian the Problem Broner, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, Gervonta Tank Davis, Jamal Charlo, Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Andre Berto, Danny Swift Garcia, he's Puerto Rican, Anthony Durrell, Andre Durrell, Gary Russell Jr., Gary Antoine Russell, Frank Martin, Chris Colbert, Jamal James, Jared Hurd, Julian J. Rock Williams, Sir Marcus Brown, Speedy Rashidi Ellis, Tony Harrison, Terrell Goucher, Erickson Lubin, Robert Easter Jr., a.k.a. E-Bunny. Out of all those fighters that I just named, whose career went like it was supposed to go? Sheldon Holmes said, Laura too. He's Cuban, but I got you. We're talking about Black American boxers. We were talking about Black American fighters. The question is, and salute to my brother Sheldon Holmes. The question is, did PBC break Black American boxing? Stay Ready Max said Jared Hurd too. He on there. I said Jared Hurd. I thought I did. Yeah, I said Jared Hurd. Yeah. Whose career went like it was supposed to, Dirt Gang? Where Mahari at? Lala D said none. None. Mahari Nation said, I would say yes. And he's about to come on here and he's gonna take an opportunity to shit on Adrian Broner or something. Cause that's what he do. Stay Ready Max said Floyd Mayweather, the only career that did. He's the only career that did. Dirt Gang said it's a complicated answer. Shondown Productions said all gone. Shaking my head. Yeah. Yeah. Errol Spence, Adrian Broner, Deontay Wilder, Gervonta Tank Davis. Who's about to fight Jake Paul? in the circus show. The prime of his 30 years old, he's in the prime of his career, and he's about to fight a circus fight versus Jake Paul, a heavyweight. Jermell Charlo, we ain't seen him a month of Sundays. Jamar Charlo, we just seen him not too long ago, looking lackluster. Keith, or did he win? I think he won against. I don't think he looked lackluster. I think he was in against lesser competition. Keith one-time Thurman just turned the lights out on somebody we ain't never heard of. Showtime Sean Porter got retired after he got punched on by Bud. Andre Berto, he eked out. He tried to come back and settle some family business, but we know how that went. Swift Danny Garcia, he's about to fight somebody I ain't never heard of, and dude said he about to stop Danny Garcia. Anthony Durrell, Andre Durrell. Anthony Durrell got his light shut out by Caleb Plant. Andre Durrell, I can't remember what happened to him in his last fights. Gary Russell Jr. We understand the mismanagement and the mishandling of Mr. Gary Russell Jr.'s career. Gary Antoine Russell, his brother has been, mismanaged and mishandled, I feel, as well. Frank Martin, Chris Colbert, Jamal James. I can't even tell you the last time I saw Jamal James fight. Swift Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd just got beat in a retirement as well against somebody. I can't remember who. Somebody beat up on Jared Hurd. I can't remember who. Sir Marcus Brown, Speedy Rashidi Ellis, Tony Harrison, Terrell Goucher, Erickson Lubin, and Robert Easter Jr. Stay Ready said Lamont Roach. But I think Lamont Roach, I believe when he got on, I don't even think was he a PBC fighter when he got on? I don't even think he with this Tank Davis, was he with PBC, signed with PBC when he got on? With that fight, I can't remember. Man, I'm trying to tell you, man. I'm trying to tell you, this is hey man, this is rough. So the argument for the yes argument, it was too many prime years wasted. The stars did not become superstars globally. The stars did not become superstars globally. Shondown Production said Ishay Smith is at the post office. Shout out to Ishay Smith. He's a postman now. Hey man. The stars didn't become superstars globally. You know what I'm saying? Too many opportunities. Not enough. There wasn't enough hard lines drawn, in my opinion. There wasn't enough provisions wrapped around the champions. You feel me? Meaning, Deontay Wilder didn't get the treatment from his team, the PBC, that Anthony Joshua got from Matchroom Boxing. There were not a lot of provisions made for the superstars. It's a cold game. A lot of fighters' careers stalled into irrelevance. They had the nerve to come out here and try to make Mr. Gary Russell Jr. irrelevant. One of the longest reigning champions in the sport of boxing, period. One of the greatest talents that we've seen. One of a once in a generational fighter, man, a talent like we haven't seen, man. And they tried to make him, and they made him stall his career into irrelevance, bro. And then there are some people who will come out here and tell you that it was done on purpose. And then also the media. The media was able to use, the traditional media was able to use the struggles of the PBC to reinforce stereotypes of their fighters rather than the broken system of the sport of boxing. You understand what I'm saying? I think that might have went over your heads. The traditional media entities were able to use the PBC's struggles, their financial struggles, things that they had going on with their business practices, and they were able to use those things to effectively reinforce negative stereotypes of black boxers rather than the things that have been broken in the system. It's a cold game. Damn, I got to get ready to get out of here. Man. They're going to be people who going to argue and say, nah, but everybody got paid. So it didn't fail them. Everybody got paid. And it gave them black fighters more visibility than Top Rank and Golden Boy, who weren't prioritizing them, and it exposed boxing's true dysfunction with multiple networks, sanctioning bodies, competing promoters. PBC just carried the heaviest expectations, and it all played out as being bullshit. Because what happened? The paydays went away. You understand? The visibility went away. They weren't prioritizing Black American fighters. They were prioritizing Latino fighters. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to all my Latino fighters and Latina fighters. Shout out. But they were having a card on Juneteenth in Texas, and the only black fighter who was on the card was Jamal Charlo. You understand what I'm saying? All of those fighters that PBC had, and you realize the PBC was never able to put together a all Black American card. Do you realize that? Do you realize that all of the other demographics, people and countrymen and shit, they get their own cards? Do you know how many UK cards we get where there's all UK fighters? Do you know how many Mexican cards that we get from, I'm talking about from the major promoters, from the Top Rank and from Golden Boy Promotions and the Zone? You know how many cards we get that'll be all Mexicans? You know how many cards we'll get where they'll go to Puerto Rico and it'll be all Puerto Ricans? And we have an inability to have an all Black American card, even on Juneteenth, by a business entity that presented itself as focusing on the Black American fighters and the Black American fighting culture. You feel me? The Black American fan base. And if you think I'm lying, you got to go back and remember when Steven Espinosa of the president of Showtime Sports, I think it was called Showtime Sports and whatever, that division. He did a presentation where he talked about the different demographics of fans in the sport of boxing and where the money was coming from. And he showed you that the majority of money that was spent within the sport of boxing, that is buying pay-per-views, buying tickets, flights, the money that was used to stimulate the economies for the cities that were holding and hosting the fights, he showed you that the majority of that money, the lion's share of that money, came from the Black American fan base. He showed you that. It was like us number one, and then I believe it was like the Mexican fan base under us, and then I think the next one was the general Latino fan base. He did a whole big ass presentation spreadsheet on it. It was at the event where they rolled out and they announced all the fights that were coming up, and everybody came out. They had on tuxedos and bow ties and shit, and all the fighters came out, and I think that was when they announced the one of the fights that I can remember to show you where the timeline was Adrian Broner versus Jesse Vargas. I think was that fight. They presented it as belonging to us. Yeah. I know good and well y'all ain't sitting in here and ain't hit the like button. I know y'all ain't sitting in here and ain't hit the like button. I know somebody gonna come in here, y'all gonna steal this content, y'all gonna try to chop it up and present it as your own and so on and so forth. The least you can do is hit the like button. You can hit the share. And I'm gonna tell y'all a secret. The Cash App is open too. Money sign the Punch Junkie. Money sign the Punch Junkie. Or you could do money sign Junior the Truth. Yeah, the Cash App is open. The YouTube channel is not monetized. There's no money on this content. This is free. You feel me? This is for the free. And I'm coming here trying to help with your afternoons because I know y'all be catching them struggle streams. I got to get ready to go get my kids though. So check this out. Brian Peters, salute, homie. So it's gonna be like somewhere along the line it shifted, man. There was no focus on the Black American fighters no more, and the Black American fighters became stepchildren over on the PBCs. Just so we clear. So much, in fact, that I saw Mr. Gary Russell Jr. beat what's his name, King Tug. He beat him with one arm, and they robbed him and took Gary Russell Jr.'s title in order to cater to a certain fan base. Let me help y'all. Remember, we were struggling to get the Errol Spence versus Terrence Bud Crawford for the undisputed welterweight title of the world. Remember we were struggling and we couldn't get that fight. They wouldn't give us that fight. Remember, there was no money in the budget for that fight. Remember, and it was years and years and years, and we couldn't get that fight. And you know what they did during that timeline? They signed Canelo Alvarez and gave him a bag of money. Gave him a bag of money. Gave him a bag of money. They spent the budget on Canelo Alvarez, who didn't deliver, because Canelo Alvarez never delivers at the box office, which is why every entity that he's ever been involved in went out of business except for DAZN. And DAZN, the only reason DAZN was able to recover is because Turk Al-Sheikh stepped in. Because they was on the way out. Y'all remember the conversations about the DAZN and the financial issues, and Eddie Hearn blew through $1 billion and blah, 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 blah. Canelo Alvarez is like the Grim Reaper to boxing networks, just so we clear. He like the Grim Reaper to boxing networks, just so we clear. And you can't tell me one boxing network that Tank Davis done been on and went out of business. And he was the poster. You said he beat Pete. That was Max Sayal. Yeah. He got robbed against Max Sayal. My fault. Salute Joe the Beast. Yeah, he beat King Tug, and he got robbed by Mark Maxayo because they were trying to do something. You understand what I'm saying? But anyway, man. So I gotta get ready to get out of here. This is such a broad conversation, man. I should have started this show today at noon. Okay. Man, there's so much. I think I just got to stop and we got to come back and pick this conversation up. We got to do part 2 of this tomorrow. Nah, we got to get all off into everything else. We got to do part 2 of this tomorrow. So y'all think about this. Yeah. Dirk Kane Boss, this is part 1. So this is part 1. Once again, and y'all pose the question, y'all think about it. Y'all get in the chat. Let me know what y'all think. We'll be back tomorrow for part 2. But did the PBC break Black American boxing? This is JuniorTheTruth signing off, man. Giving you your day. I ain't even gonna do the outro because this is only part 1. I'm gonna just ask the question again. Did the PBC, Premier Boxing Champions, Al Haymon's baby, did it break Black American boxing?
Ghetto baby, I seen pistol play and K's airing like when white bitches don't get their way. Pull up with that whip appeal, look like baby face. Guerrilla warfare, what a motherfucker bathing age. Never falling off, I live my life on the edge. Telling lies on the real, they don't believe what you're saying. I ain't never complained, I ain't never was scared. Look here, bitch, it ain't no buts about my last piece of bread. Camoed out, grew up on them niggas from the know you. Funny how they lose themselves when they can't control you. Here's a 50 slab, cause the game is out of order. Make me kill a nigga career just to meet my quota. Hold up, none you rap niggas want it. I got remnants of Biggie, I was never Lil Homie. I'm so genuine with her, she let me ride on that pony. Don't need your flowers, I grow them. Got the game in the